Welcome to DROD'S MMA and Boxing. So the first fight I want to discuss is Jacare Souza against Tim Boetsch. Now, to me, Jacare is one of my favorite fighters. The guy's because he got a jiu-jitsu background, and I follow him back in his jiu-jitsu career. And the guy's a monster. He's phenomenal. I remember when Roger Gracie broke his arm, and this guy continued to battle on with a broken arm and didn't even tap. Just a freak of nature, an animal. And I'm kind of wondering what else he needs to do to get a title fight. Just a recap of his career. So he was the Strikeforce champion. He lost a very close decision to Luke Rockhold, which I kind of felt like he won the fight just based upon my beliefs. I believe that you have to beat the champ in order to be the champ. And I didn't think Rockhold did enough to be the champ. Because he didn't beat the champ, in my opinion. Afterwards, he ended up fighting Bristol Marunde, Derek Brunson. He beat both of them, knocked Brunson out. Ed Herman, Chris Kamasi. Well, Chris Kamasi was after, but he ended up winning those 3 fights and didn't even get a shot at the Strikeforce title. And I thought he deserved at least a rematch of his belt to get a chance to win his belt back. So I thought that was kind of unfair. In the UFC, he ended up beating Chris Kamasi. He beat Greg Masasi, Yushin Okami. He beat Francis Camont. I mean, you name it, he beat him. He ended up having a tough fight against Yoel Romero. Now, he lost that fight, but he didn't have to take that fight. He still fought a dangerous Yoel Romero. Saying that, Rocco ended up getting a title shot before Jacare, considering their history. And, it is what it is. That's the nature of the business. A lot of people have issues with the UFC ranking system. I hope they're able to improve the ranking system, at least do like boxing where they have mandatory challenges where we understand guys like Conor McGregor who wants to win a world title, wants to make these big mega fights. Cool, you can have the mega fights, but understand this, you are going to have some mandatory defenses in order to keep that belt. That's my opinion. And what I would like to see done in the UFC. Basically, the guy's done everything he possibly can. Now, this fight against Tim Boetsch, which he took to stay busy, it was an interesting fight because Tim Boetsch was a former Division I wrestler, and I kind of wonder how Jacare was going to be able to get this fight to the ground. I felt like if the fight was longer, then Tim Boetsch, being a stronger guy, I thought he had a better chance of hurting Jacare, which he did hurt Jacare. Now, how did Jacare get him to the ground was unexpected and a beautiful thing. He basically did a running knee tap. So he faked like an overhand right. So Tim Boetsch reacts to the overhand right. And from there, his weight's on that back leg, and it's so much easier to do that the knee tap. And he hits the knee tap and end up switching to a double leg. So the knee tap forces Tim Boetsch back, but then he ended up finishing off with a double leg. It was pretty much remarkable. I didn't see it coming. And the ground game to me was awesome too. I wish I could show you guys the whole fight, but I can't because I've been having a lot of trouble with pretty much getting flagged for copyright infringement, even though I'm criticizing and reviewing the fight. It's all part of the Fair Use Act. But what can I say? And I even got flagged by one group of people. I won't name who it was, but they wanted money. And, I'm not making no money off of YouTube. But, I guess that's what they want from me in order to keep some of these videos up. Anyways, so he takes him to the ground. And he lands a couple shots just to get his mind focused on the shots. And he steps over and he passes the guard. Now, what I like so much about his ground game was he had this crossface which kept Tim Boetsch from being able to escape. He couldn't do your traditional side mount because you can't. In order to do that, you have to turn your face into your opponent and turn your face to your opponent and strip out. He couldn't do that because of that crossface. And from there, he does this nice knee slide pass in order to get into the mount. And I thought that, Tim Boetsch probably could have, since the hips was up, probably elevated him up. But it's a little bit hard, especially I noticed when they were in side mount. Tim Boetsch didn't have the dexterity to be able to recover guard either. So it's very interesting to see a big, strong wrestler being put on his back and watching how they respond sometime. But anyway, the transition was probably the sickest thing I've seen. The guy hits this Kimura from, if you make a mistake, which is what Tim Boetsch did, he kind of did what Chael Sonnen did, was instead of doing any type of traditional jiu-jitsu mount escape, he tries to sit up, and by sitting up, he leaves his arm free to basically be Kimura, and that's how he was able to get that Kimura. It was a beautiful move, and man, to me, I think the biggest thing is how he got the fight to the ground, knowing he was going up against a good Division I wrestler, but he got him to the ground, and that submission comes real quick. Jacare Souza, I can't wait to see him in the ring. My boy Michael Bisping. Michael Bisping's my dude, but I understand what he's doing. He's pretty much at the end of his career. His eye injury, I think, really affected him a lot. He hasn't been the same fighter since that injury, and he used to be known as a person that would take on anybody, but now I believe because of the injury and because he knows that he's at the end of his career, he's trying to make some money, and I think he deserves it. He was always that guy that would step up to the plate and would fight anybody. But still, I would like to see him get in the ring and give these guys, Yoel Romero and Jacare Souza, a shot. Especially both guys are running through the division, and I think we're gonna. If we wait too long, we won't be able to see these guys at their best fight each other just because of their age. Anyways, this is DROD'S MMA Unboxing. I just had to do a video on Jacare. I want to do a combine him and Holly Holmes, but his jiu-jitsu game deserves to get its recognition. If this is any value to you, go ahead and subscribe, please.